Thank you. I'm from the Golden Gate Bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm from the Golden Gate Bridge because Jack would probably like to have done a stone soup from that location. And now 5 people are going to go on the chat saying he did so do a stone soup at this location. But all the same, it's good to be on location of a sort. It's good to have a computer. Thanks to my girlfriend for lending hers. I can't wait for the next one to come out because once I get it, that's when I'm going to have to get started on the Boston Poetry Marathon and start to promote Stone Soup for the summer. Welcome to everyone who's at Stone Soup tonight for our 53rd anniversary month. And we've had some great features so far. We're finishing off with great features. Tonight we have Elizabeth Doran, who is a longtime friend of Stone Soup, a longtime bagel bard, friend of the Ibbotson Street and the Somerville, Cambridge poetry scene, and a friend to the Grolier Poetry Bookstore, one of the people who was instrumental in helping to keep that place alive, and it is still going. So thank you for your efforts for that, and thank you for coming here. Elizabeth's featured multiple times at Stone Soup in the older locations, and it's great to get her in the virtual world and to make her mark here as we record all the Stone Soup shows, and they get saved up onto YouTube by tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Might be a little earlier tonight, but I'll probably make it live tomorrow. At any rate, thank you guys for your patience, and we're going to get started with the open mic. Only have a few people on tonight, but it's going to be good. Thanks to everyone who came to the last couple of performances. CC's was great, as was oh God, I'm forgetting the feature from the week before. This is how brain fried I am. But anyway, I'm just gonna pretend I didn't forget. Ooh, that's embarrassing. And we're gonna get going to
was it Mark Lippman?
Mark Lippman, thank you so much. Good Lord, thank you. My brain is fried. Anyway, happy Wednesday. Let's get to the open mic so I don't have to say anything. That's always a plus for me. I'm going to welcome up now one of Stone Soup's friends and one of my memory joggers. Let's bring up Mr. Jeff Taylor.
Well, thank you, Chad. I'm going to read not my poem. This is a poem by Sam Sachs. I'm trying to show you his book, but it's not really letting me because of the background. But it's Bury It is the name of the book by Sam Sachs, and that's available through Wesleyan University Press. And this poem is called Worry. Worry is a woman burying bread beneath her lawn, praying for summer to make whole loaves break in their plastic shells through dirt like so many hands. Worry is how I thumb a groove in the stolen jewel case in my back pocket at Tower Records. The man puts his hands on me. Am I crooked? I'm crooked, red-handed, red-thumbed, had enough money in my pocket for music, and who really needs that bad? All my father's overtime stocked in our pantry, all my mother's edges worried, smooth below the river of her boss's hands. Who am I who steals music, who sells drugs because I love how it sounds, who sold my own good mouth for gold? A man puts his hands on me, and I'm his, and I'm paid in the old country. Women buried what little we had in the dirt and hoped it would make more better on earth. In this country, all food is unzipped from its plastic and passes clean through us. My grandmother's panic is a relic, is bread unearthed from some forgotten dust bowl, still dark and moldy and whole. Why not eat the hand that feeds you, I think? Why not eat the arm, the elbow, the shoulder? Why not eat the whole damn body alive? That was Worry by Sam Sachs.
I appreciate that you shared that. That was really cool. I don't know too much about Sam Sachs. I know of his reputation. Really sounds good.
Yeah, he's awesome.
You're going to have to get my worry beads after that poem.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you to Jeff. And we continue to go through down the J's. in our on our list with as Raminator has selected next, Miss Jan Rowe. There you
Thank you.
there you go.
This is a draft from the Black Seed Writers. Billy on the cart on the common, and he sells sweatshirts and hats. He said, write something hopeful, because most of my stuff these days is a little grim. So this is a draft. It's called, has no title. Thank you, Union Theological Seminary in New York City, for teaching by example how to respond to students protesting, and for showing longtime affiliate Columbia University how to respond, although learning not apparent. The USA court telling England that Julian Assange's First Amendment rights will be your honor? Yeah, right. Why are all these students, many from expensive schools, being arrested? If the First Amendment, just for calling names. Oh yeah, Netanyahu is a real Yahoo. I could do it. So these students, these are schools that are like $60,000 a year. So are they going to go home? Are they going to go to shelters? I remember decades ago when Emmett, the Micmac Indian, knew that the shelters were going to have to make room for another group of people. Okay, so and meanwhile, 70% of the real estate in New York's bought cash, no mortgages. But anyway, thank you, Union Theological Seminary. As so the singers who were being peacefully arrested, saying your people are my people, they were on the stage of the Episcopal Cathedral of St. John the Divine. They had graduation service, and that song, Your People Are My People, sounds like the book of Ruth to me. You know, Ruth, the Moabitess, victim of incest, you know, David's grandmother. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And moving forward,
It'll go away.
we're going to bring up next, and as soon as I give him permission to screen share, Mr. Robert Fleming.
Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. Tonight, I will be sharing and soliciting new submissions for a digital magazine called Instant Noodles. The summer theme is Devil's Party, which was a line in Milton's novel Paradise Lost, and the deadline is June 30th. I will be sharing some of my writing, which is similar to the themes that the genres that they accept. The first one is the theme of poetry, and I will read my piece. I was fine offline. I was chatting my cat out of its hat. Entered Zoom on a web surfer's broom. Muted my voice, muted my video. Hand raised greet, meet other participants. Greetings in the meeting to Satan, Jason, Freddy, Pazuzu, Snake. Satan and Pazuzu mute video to show a red slash. Jason and Freddy click 3 red dots to show a blank name. Snake on video to video a gray square. I am displayed in the center box, bordered with blank boxes with red slashes. I am lost in Zoom, my doom awaits. O moderator, be my savior. Satanist Sam, I am surfaces. You are not on the invitee list for Satan's Zoom meeting. Once you enter, you can exit with a Satan pass. Get you an exit pass? Sam, I am uncertain. Satan is so sorrowful, so sorry in hell it's COVID-19 too. It's souls 6 feet apart and Zoom meetings too. Stay for the meeting could be healing. Agenda is hell Zoom changes. Change share screen to scare screen. What is your way? Way in or way out? Final Zoom meeting. So that is an example of a poem that would work for the theme Devil's Party. This is an example of a flash fiction. The word limit for flash fiction is 750. Pixelated ever after. My prince, this castle, still happy? All those balls, cartoon sex, no baby, tired of charming? I am. Happily ever after is too happy. It's always happy. Prince, what do you want? See this travel brochure? Spend 2 weeks in hell? Hell has a gargoyle devil dog. A devil dog. No, not to eat. Not a hot dog. Devil dogs are better than fairy godmothers. Prince, be my devil. I've dreamed of you giving me orders. Like that? Prince, speak. Oh my prince only fits shoes, dances at balls, and is charming. And this is an example of it could be a creative nonfiction. This is an example of a recipe. It's called bowl upside down cake. And if you see in the ingredients, the first line of the table, it says jail commissary number. So this is an imagining of what a recipe would be like from getting items from a jail canteen. And then to give you another example of a creative nonfiction, this is called Prison GED Hair Algebra. I'll read one of them. Fingers lost all the hair on his head. Tray boy agreed to sell the hair on his head. If the price of the hair is $10,000 and Fingers earns $4 a week on the chain gang, what operations would tell you how long it will take Fingers to buy Tray boy's hair? Addition, division, stealing, subtraction, prostitution. And the last one is an example of a visual art, which is a visual poem. It's called Limbo, Pitchfork, Heaven and Hell. And those are all of the genres. There are two more. There's drama and multimedia video. And thank you for letting me share the upcoming submission for Instant Noodles with a deadline of June 30th. I will put the magazine link in the chat.
Thank you so much, Robert. And let's go move on next to Mr. Bill Lewis.
Why, thank you. Happy day, everybody. We made it. Everybody who did not make it is not here. So we are the survivors. We made it to today. Yay, us. Woo! I was really impressed to hear that the people of the Republic of Iran has invited the protesters to come and study there for free. I don't really believe that many people are going to do it, but what if they did? Do you know how wonderful that would be? It has been 45 years since the Ayatollah kicked the Peace Corps out of Iran. and to have Americans living there again, working with the people there, getting to know the actual Iranian people and seeing what the government is. This government they've supported so strongly, that would be the best thing in the world. And I hope and pray that some of the students actually take this offer up. But there it is. So I can only hope and pray. But today I have something else. Oh, may I share the screen just for a moment, Mr. Chadford? Oh, I can. Wow, you are fast. Okay. Today is May 22nd, Wednesday. On Friday is my final class this entire year. We've been working together. So it is going to be, yes, you got it, graduation time. Here we go, here we go, here we go. The day upon us soon arrive when you shall step upon the stage. You shall stroll with glorious, confident stride. A murderboard upon your head, a tassel hanging down, a gleaming smile on your face. I see not a single frown. I'll shake your hand as you approach and tell you I am proud to have had you as a student. Proclaim it right out loud. This kid might seem too young for all the things he knows, but kids today, they learn real fast. The knowledge grows and grows. Go forth, my students, soon, my friend. I've taught you all my skill. I'm confident that you'll go on, your destiny fulfill. So this is for my students who I'm graduating. You can see I made a nice diploma for them. And anyway, I'm totally psyched and life is beautiful. And I have so much confidence in this younger generation. You know, I hear so many people saying so many negative things. Oh, they can't do it. Oh, blah, blah, blah. But no, I think that you will find that the younger generation is far better than you ever imagined it. Mr. Master Toast Poetry. Yeah, anyway, Chadford.
Interesting. Okay, let us move on now to Rich Boucher, past Don't Sue feature for National Poetry Month, and he's back with us today.
Hey, appreciate that very much. Thank you, Chad. Okay, so this poem was just accepted for publication in the upcoming June edition of the Fixed and Free Quarterly. It's an international publication based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And my thanks to Billy Brown for giving this poem a home. Sound check. I'm sounding good, right?
Beautiful.
Excellent. Okay, good. This poem is called A Day in My Imagined Life as a High-Rise Window Washer. Scene 1. On the 73rd floor, a wicked gust of wind rocks my platform, and I drop a bottle of deionized water and soap down to the street below. All the way down to normalcy, and through the window, after steadying myself again, I find an old, white, liver-spotted executive in a suit I could never buy, talking to a younger man, a man my age, seated in front of his desk. I witness in silence. I can't hear anything, but body language is bright red everything, and by the way the younger man looks to be pleading and then crying, I can tell this is a firing. Another gust comes and tries to kill me from up here but fails, and I almost laugh at my dumb vanilla luck until the guy getting terminated happens to look over and meet my eyes with his. And I sort of wish the company I work for would have told me I might have to see awful things while I make the business world a little cleaner. Scene 2. On the 60th floor, I'm scraping bird shit and soot from the window of a woman's office. I can never hear conversations, even though people think I can. But peering through this new window, I just know that the woman, a beautiful brunette with crows where her eyes should be, is only giving half her attention to whoever's on the other end of the line. Because as she's talking, she's also distractedly masturbating under her desk, left hand moving with insistent rhythm between her open thighs and over her trendy black leggings, her hips tilted just a bit up and forward, and the platform I'm on suddenly trembles. My equilibrium's wobbly. I don't have a leg to stand on, and she goes faster, either unaware that I can see, or maybe she's long since given up caring, and she and I have that in common. She's thrown her whole arm into it now, setting the phone on its side on her desk, but I can't hang around. I've made her windows as clean as they need to be. I can file all this away for later. Did you know that we are timed on how many offices we do in an hour? Scene 3. I'm cleaning the windows of the corner office on the 42nd floor. I can see half of a Frosted Angels food cake and pink and blue paper plates left on a long oak table in an empty room. Someone had a birthday today. A man walks into the room and sits down at the table. He puts his head down to cry. I can see his shoulders shake and heave as he weeps. I rap my knuckles on the glass to get his attention. I want to tell him that there's people out there who care, that whatever it is will be better tomorrow. That's when he produces a gun from his pocket and brings it to his temple. Everything happens too fast nowadays. Scene 4. Looking down on the traffic 81 stories below, I see the monochrome Morse code of the rooftops of cars as they shuffle and switch positions on the overcast avenue, and the immediacy of my potential, surprising death comes on like a violet chill all over my skin, under my harness and my clothes and my soul. I am abruptly overcome with gratitude that the senses of wonder and joy I possessed as a child died long ago. A child should never be allowed to wonder or to know joy. These things are lies, and it's the job of the grown-ups to prepare the children for what the world really smells like. The cars down there are so tiny from up here, and that means that the people in those cars are even smaller, and that means that they likely have no idea that I'm up here, and I'm abruptly wishing that I was hit more as a child, smacked around more, slapped in the face more, bashed against a wall more, because I would have been more ready for the world, and I would have been ready faster than the rest of the 4th grade, and I could have skipped being naive completely. And when you're up this high over the rush hour that never ends, you're constantly, ceaselessly, always imagining people screaming stupidly as they watch you fall to your death. And you're constantly, ceaselessly, always imagining that you'd be able to hear those screams on the way down somehow. But I know me enough to know that if I heard someone screaming as they saw me plummet down to my instant doom, marinara sauce on broken glass, I would tell them to just shut up and relax, because everything's a part of the cycle of life. Yes, yes, even dark human blood on the sidewalk. And some people were just never meant to be. And look, see what I have done. I missed a window of that office over there, and now I have to go all the way back and try to do a better job, because I know I will hear about it if everything isn't perfect.
My head's having a hard time popping up and making it convincing anyone I'm here. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, Rich. And we're gonna move on to our next poet. This has been fantastic open mic. Can't wait for the feature. Let's welcome up Julian Matthews.
Oh, hi. This is called origami. Oh, share screen. Your skin is papery, white, malleable. Perhaps with the right creases, you could be a bird, still unflappable. A blank page, lines unread, yet you do not fit into any oblong, A4, letter, legal, plain. A complicated fold, maybe it would take a book to explain. A page ripped from a journal, crumpled, tossed in a bin. Begin, again, recreate. What are we all if not books on a shelf, sometimes leaning on each other, sometimes standing alone? The great librarian never labeled us, and yet we all find time to stick labels on each other like dewy-eyed decimals. Unboxed, unwrapped, stamped, stacked, yet to be discovered. The lucky ones borrowed, turned, read, returned. The unlucky ones shelved. We read to know we are not alone, says C.S. Lewis. We write to belong to the unknown. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. And now we're going to bring up our honorary co-host for tonight. Let's welcome up Mr. John Wezek.
Honorary co-host, cool. Private Detective Morris Pillbottle is back in Boink for Biodiversity. Thank you for coming, Mr. Pillbottle. Elizabeth Huffington was thin as a pocky stick and had hair wispy as cotton candy. They say inbreeding caused the Habsburg chin. If that was the case, her forebears must have engaged in a lot of it, because Elizabeth Huffington had two of them. Care for a sherry? Sure. She motioned to the butler, who brought 2 glasses. The sherry was sweet and cloying as Ms. Huffington's perfume. A sex cult took my niece, and I want her back. Ms. Huffington sipped her ghastly sherry. It's called Boink for Biodiversity. They make porn and donate the proceeds to save the planet or some such nonsense. Shouldn't she make her own choices? I looked for some place to ditch my drink, but setting it on the eucalyptus wood desk would leave a ring, so I downed it in one gulp just to get rid of it. Oh, want another? Elizabeth Huffington snapped her fingers for the butler to bring me a refill. Amanda's been in and out of sanitariums for years. Despite the best medical care, she still suffers from delusions. In 3 months, she'll be 25. Then the trust fund will revert to her, and we won't be able to help her. How does $1,000 a day sound? Better than 10% off at Denny's. I set down the sherry glass by the foot of my wingback chair. That depends, of course, on how much you order at Denny's. Here are your plane tickets to Wyoming. She handed me an envelope. Our local contact will meet you at the airport. I spotted a Great Pyrenees mountain dog holding a placard with my name on it in the arrival hall at the Jackson Airport. His coat was white, and he had floppy ears and a long, broad muzzle. From his warm brown eyes, I could tell he was gentle with children and devoted to his family, but due to his size and strength, would need lots of training and socialization. You Morris Pillbottle? He asked. I nodded. What's your name, big fellow? Grantham Snooterbox. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? I scratched him behind the ears. Are you related to the Snooterboxes of Penobscot, Maine? No, those are New England Snooterboxes. I hail from the Rocky Mountain Snooterboxes, he said, with pride bordering on arrogance, as if no canines who lived below 5,000 feet had the right to call themselves mountain dogs. Tail wagging, he led me to a white Jeep Cherokee in the parking lot and got behind the wheel. I tossed my bag in the back seat and climbed in beside him. This raised several questions, like how did his paws reach the gas pedals and how did a dog get a driver's license in the first place? I wasn't here to enforce Wyoming's traffic laws, so I sat back and gazed at the mountains that rose from the horizon like scores of high rises made of Precambrian metamorphic rock. Snooterbox drove well for a dog, except for his habit of sticking his head out the window. And if you want to read the rest of it, it's on Horror Sleaze Trash, and I posted a link in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Almost at the end. We're going to have a musical interlude now with Mr. Ethan Mackler, the Pulse of Stone Soup. Take it away, sir.
Thank you.
Oops, 1 second. Sorry about that. Just sausage fingers with the Minnie Mouse. And now we're going to our final participant on the open mic, and Johnson's abstaining this week. And maybe we'll get some other people coming on the line later on. But for now, we get to welcome up poet columnist for Oddball Magazine. Oddball just did a call for pride pieces, and hopefully we're going to get some. I'm already starting to get some since posting the call this past Tuesday. So thanks to those. Thanks to anyone who spreads the word or is interested in spreading the word or wants to send something themselves. But for Oddball Magazine, this guy's our regular columnist. Check out It's All One Thing every Thursday morning at oddballmagazine.com. Every Thursday morning, including tomorrow. Let's welcome up and ask him to unmute Mr. James Van Loy.
Hello. Okay. So I have a poem here called Inland. Inland. Another epiphany coming at us again. A giant asteroid meteor strike event 30 million years ago, hitting the bay of Chesapeake Bay, leaving trench right where my great-great-grandfather's great-great-grandfather would settle finally after immigrating back in 1635. In 1651, mounting an expedition band of militia to remove the Indians off his new plantation on the northern neck across from Delmarva, that peninsula of Delaware, Maryland's eastern shore, and southern tip belonging also to Virginia, where I would go down all the way through Laurel, where my wife Jan taught high school for 14 years about, all the way down where Harriet Tubman ran from and returned to. Free family and friends from slavery, from a place formed and still affected by this outer space object crashing through the atmosphere to create a tsunami wave that swamped both of the coasts of the Atlantic for hundreds of miles inland. Before you slip into unconsciousness, I'd like to have another kiss, another flashing chance at bliss, another kiss, another kiss. The days are bright and filled with pain. Enclose me in your gentle rain. The time you ran was too insane. We'll meet again. We'll meet again. Oh, tell me where your freedom lies. The streets are fields that never die. Deliver me from reasons why you'd rather cry. I'd rather fly. The crystal ship is being filled. 1,000 curls, 1,000 thrills, 1,000,000 ways to spend your time. When we get back, I'll drop a line. I'll drop a line. Crystal ship. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm 5% better lit because I turned the lights on, more lights on in the room. So we are ready to go for our feature tonight. I'm just going to read the boilerplate and remind you next week, Valerie Loveland is closing out May and our 43rd anniversary month. We might just have an all open mic the first week of June just to give ourselves a rest, and more announcements will be coming. For those of you who are
Can I
back
just say
here
that Valerie Loveland is one of my favorite poets, and everybody should make sure they make it for Valerie's set.
Thanks, Jeff. And for our feature tonight, Elizabeth Doran was one of the earliest people I featured as a host of Stone Soup Poetry. She was also one of the early regulars when I did it. Started it. Oh, God, it's got to be going 15 years plus. First time I hosted was right before the 35th anniversary of Stone Soup, which I believe was 2006. That would make sense. And I started I think in September before that. And since that time, Elizabeth has featured for me very generously. I think about 3 times. This is her 4th. I've been wanting her back for a while, but for some reason wasn't able to get it together. So I'm glad she's here today. Elizabeth Doran is a painter and a poet. From 2011 to 2020, she was the manager of the Grolier Poetry Bookshop in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Elizabeth relives in the Back Bay of Boston. She has read at many venues in Cambridge and Boston throughout. Her work is actually pretty well represented on YouTube. If you haven't checked that out yet, definitely do so. And we're about to add one more video to the mix, and I'm very excited to have her back and to get a good solid block of her work represented in one shot. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together 40, 50 times for Elizabeth Doran. Audible, emoticon, however you like.
Can everybody hear me?
You're good.
All right. Okay. It's great to be here. Thanks, Chad. And thanks to Stone Soup. I'm so glad it continues. I hope that eventually it will find another home so that we can do live readings. I'm not a fan of Zoom. I find it a little bit awkward. But anyway, I start all my readings by reading another poet's work, just because. And this poem is, the first poem I'm going to read is called Encounter, and it's by Miloš. I really don't know how to pronounce his first name, but this is a translation of a Miloš poem, and it's one of my favorite poems of all time. And it's called Encounter. We were riding through frozen fields in a wagon at dawn. A red wing rose in the darkness, and suddenly a hare ran across the road. One of us pointed to it with his hand. That was long ago. Today, neither of them is alive. Not the hare, nor the man who made the gesture. Oh, my love, where are they? Where are they going? The flash of a hand, streak of movement, rustle of pebbles. I ask not of sorrow, but in wonder. And the second poem I'm going to read is, okay, so this is, I've been trying to learn French and have been doing a lot of translations of French poems. And this is a translation of a poet, Alice Palin Rahan. She was a surrealist. And her book is Shape Shifter. And the poems in that book were translated by Marianne Cause, who did a wonderful job. And certainly Alice doesn't need me translating, but I just wanted to get a feel for it. And so I'm just going to read you a small piece that I did. And this is my translation. Okay, so the poem is untitled. The book is, the poems are all untitled, and they're like a sequence. This is just a very small part. A woman, once beautiful, took off her face one day. Her head now smooth, blind and deaf, free from the traps of mirrors and looks of love. Okay, so the next 3 poems are poems from a series, from a chapbook that I'm working on called The Robert Poems, about a past relationship. This poem, Absence of Birds, was written a long time ago, and I think it was published in the second Bagel Bards anthology, whenever that was. And it's called Absence of Birds. On that morning, I watched you shave, watched you get dressed for church. You wore that pink shirt you found somewhere in France, put on cufflinks. You seemed happy. I noticed the absence of birds from the bird feeder, wondered where they went. You breathed in the air that you loved, so close to the sea. I looked at the fuchsia on the front porch, so dark pink, not knowing it was for the last time. And then the last of the poems in this series is called Dress Strap. Remember the night I brought you a book of Polish poetry? You read me a poem in Polish, the one where her mouth was shut by blackberries. I read her poem, Nakedness, in English. Then you slipped off my silk dress strap. Do you remember that night? Were you happy then? And the poems are by Marianne Kilar, a Polish poet, from the book Salt Monody. And then, oh, actually, this is the last of those poems. One more. This is called Lavender Ether. There is the house. See the Chinese rugs, the vases, the candles lit, the wreath on the door. There is the husband, tall, faithful. There is the wife, a saint, though not beautiful. I knew the hands of the husband before the ring. I knew the voice before the vows. There are the yellow leaves that cling to the oaks in autumn. There are the lilacs that bloom in spring. I chose to live my life in a lavender ether. There are my books, my poems. There are my illusions. Leave me with them. Okay, this next poem is called Shimmering World. I have come to the shrine to see the saints. The light here is yellow. As a child, I wanted Christ more than anything else. I have a human heart. I prayed for forgiveness for sins I could not understand. I knew that I had committed a sin to be here. There were black marks on my soul. I was afraid of the thousands and thousands of things in the world. Sewing needles, beautiful dragonflies, the shimmering gold of the wedding bands on the sisters married to Christ. I once saw a bird soaked in blood. I want to be in this world, not afraid. And I have written a lot about New York, and also about my brother's schizophrenia. And this poem I've been working on for many years. It will never be done. It just keeps changing, and it's something that I like to work on. The title is Schizophrenia on the Lower East Side. In a family photograph, you are a 9-year-old boy wearing a bow tie. In my memory, your adolescent fingers are banging the piano in an endless repetition of Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Your room at the hospital is almost empty. There is a plastic replica of a cross with Jesus nailed to it. The carpet in the lobby is red and worn. A woman with red lipstick smeared all over her lips sits on a battered couch. Over and over in a monotone voice, she asks, "You got any cigarettes, dear?" After each visit, I go to the church. For 9 consecutive Wednesdays, I make novenas. Years later, I visit you in New York. Your apartment is 6 flights up. There is no piano. You don't need it anymore. Your fingers shake from Thorazine. There is a bathtub in the kitchen. You put a refrigerator against the window, blocking the view of the Empire State Building. The blinds are shut tight against light. Books are scattered in piles all over your room. You give me a copy of poems by Bertolt Brecht that you found in the street. So the next poem is called On Yellow. I've written a series of poems called On different things, on bewilderment, on this and that. And this is on the color yellow. And it has an epigraph. I think that's what you call it, a quote from someone else. The quote says, "The reason I drink is to understand the sky, the great yellow sky." And Vincent van Gogh said that. I'm a little obsessed with Van Gogh. A yellow mood arrives. The solar plexus is yellow. It is the seat of perception. I read that Vincent van Gogh ate yellow paint. Gauguin painted a yellow Christ. See how yellow illuminates? Daffodils, a harbinger of spring, are pure yellow. Sunflowers, hypnotized, turn towards the sun. Sometimes the moon is yellow. There is a diamond called a yellow diamond, also known as a canary diamond. The Virgin Mary is often depicted wearing blue clothing and having a yellow halo over her head. See how yellow illuminates? Saffron is sometimes orange, but with a yellow tint. Urine is yellow. I heard someone say, where there is urine, there is life. Yellow, in particular, has remained to me, says Borges as he's going blind. And the next couple of poems are centos or centos. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. What they are is they take a line from other people's poems, and I've listed the other people in the poems in both of these poems. So they're really, I definitely believe not in plagiarism, but I believe that we're all influenced by one another, and so there's nothing new under the sun, etc., etc. And I just love to read poetry, and so I feel like sometimes certain lines that people write are so beautiful. So I like to mix them up and make what is sort of my own poem and sort of not. So the first one, the most beautiful bodies are like transparent glass, hollow, empty of organs. In the terrible years, I saw the shrouds of prisoners waiting in line outside the prison in Leningrad. Looking around for God, door unlocked. The angels arrived as lace. Angels die. All together elsewhere, little Isan bells, baptismal gowns, injustice and suffering. Sometimes the rain shines. Sun is in the leaves again. And the writers are Akhmatova, Macaulay Black, Sophie Cabot Black, Carolyn Forche, Fanny Howe, Mark Irwin, Cheryl Lindsay, Milosh, Tess Taylor, and Stephen Yenser. So those lines are from those poets. And the next one is also a Cento, I don't know. At the Hotel Oblivion, the snow goes on for days and days. Draped in rags at midday, hair tangled across their foreheads, the women carry lunch pails. Their eyes dead, their hearts dead. There will be a moment when you will pause to weigh against knowing, the unknowable bliss of not knowing. Endlessly, I would have walked with you. I feel you in this lamp lit so late. And the poets are Robert Bly, Cynthia Cruz, Streko Kovasol, and that poem is a translation by Barbara Siegel Carson, and Tim Lardette. Okay, so the next poem I wrote fairly recently, and it's I read it after hearing a woman named Renee Gladman at Harvard, and it's very prosy, and it's called Unraveling, and it also has an epigraph, and this is by Renee Gladman. She says, "When writing, if I find joy, I know I am on the right path." Okay, so my mind was unraveling when the day began. So I wrote a sentence hoping to stop the unraveling. The sentence prompted me to write another, and so on. Of course, the unraveling continued. There were layers of unraveling, and no amount of sentences could stop it. However, since sentences contain words, when the sentences became unraveled, the unraveled sentences contain possibilities. If one unravels a sweater, it eventually becomes a ball of yarn. The sweater presumably was a ball of yarn before it became a sweater. But this ball of yarn, by nature, is not the same ball of yarn. If you unravel the yarn, you will get string. In the string, there was the possibility that I could string together some sentences, which brought to mind a cobbler, since cobbling some sentences together seems to work better than stringing. Another day began, and as I was cobbling some sentences together, I remember being accused of using too many gerunds. So I was careful as I was cobbling the sentences together to not rely on the parts of speech. I began to have various problems with tense. As the day began, I was writing and unraveling in the present. However, what I had written was now in the past. I was or was not present as I was writing, So I think that you can begin to see the product. As the day wore on, it became clearer and clearer that I was becoming unraveled, and that soon I would be chasing a rabbit who was in a hurry. The rabbit, as it turns out, was wearing a waistcoat and he had a pocket watch. Who was in a hurry here, me or the rabbit? As the day wore on, I realized that it was the rabbit that was in a hurry, whereas I was unraveling, and no amount of sentences or parts of speech could stop the unraveling. The next poem is another one of those poems, something like a cento, but instead it's titles of books that were behind me at the Grow Leader. So these are the titles of books that I turned into a poem. In the house of the tragic poet, between two worlds, in the city of memory, 7 trees lay against the dying light, sips of light in the garden of exile. I'm speaking with unthinkable tenderness. Okay, so how are we doing on time?
You got a couple more to do?
Yeah,
Okay, let's hear them.
okay, so I'll do 2 more. This is a short prose poem about New York. It's called In Manhattan. At the Hush Gallery on 66th Street, the Upper East Side, there was an exhibit of Paul Klee's work. All of the works on display were privately owned. The neighborhood is filled with boutiques and little French restaurants where the masters of the universe go for quiet lunches. The women who run the gallery wear very expensive conservative clothing, including stockings. The drawings and paintings were some of Klee's most well-known, but since they had been in private collections, had not been seen. The gallery was not modern, and the exhibit was spread over 5 floors up narrow staircases. The space where the paintings were shown were of necessity dark, a contrast with the brightness of Klee's work. I climbed up 5 flights of stairs, and at the top of the stairs, there was an exhibit of Munch's works on paper and a drawing by Pablo Picasso. The rain poured down that day, even on the wealthy. So the last poem is my latest poem, and I wrote it in French, and then I translated it. I'm not going to read the French because my French pronunciation is not there yet. But I think the poem probably sounds better in French. I don't know. I'm a little concerned about that the second line is a cliche, but all right. Here it is. So I may eliminate that second line. This is a work in progress. Days without end extend into infinity. The promise of spring brings no relief from the pain of living. I was young once and felt the presence of Christ within and without. Now, the sad music playing in this Indian restaurant reminds me that I have abandoned Christ and committed sins. Thank you. That's all she wrote.
Put your hands together 30, 40 more times. Miss Elizabeth Doran.
Thank you.
Is there going to be a collection coming out someday?
Well, I am working on a little chapbook, so maybe.
Hope so.
A chapbook first, but we'll see.
A lot of your stuff is scattered. It'd be good to get it all in one place, just just for convenience. But we're glad you're here to share some of your work with us. A lot of your work actually today. So thank you so much. And
Right, thank
if you
you.
ever get that book out, we'll definitely promote it for you.
All right, thank you.
I'll be enjoying playing this back, and you can play back other stuff from her. I've recorded over the years. Catch her stuff in anthologies like Bagel Bards and other spots. So again, thank you so much, Elizabeth, and thanks for coming, especially for the Stone Soup's 53rd anniversary month.
All right, thank you. And are you going to be getting a venue at any time?
Hopefully that'll happen soon. Hopefully, we have been talking, but health issues and other things have just been keeping me from
I see.
pursuing, and it's been a pain in the ass. And plus, I need to get equipment back from the previous gallery who just kicked us out, and then got mad when I said they told us we had to leave. We made an announcement they made an announcement to 4 other poetry and music venues that were going on there at the same time in Seaport. So I have equipment there I need to get back, and I have contacts, and I have things I definitely want to do. So hopefully hopefully by the end of next year and the beginning of a school year, we'll get some traction. Until then, we can hopefully get our fix with the Boston Poetry Month, the Boston Poetry Festival in August, and hopefully we'll be getting some moving and shaking about that soon. And so all I can say is the short of it, the TLDR version is soon. Soon, I hope. But thanks for the support, and hopefully we'll get everyone back for real.
Great.
I didn't think we were going to end with an encore tonight, but my co-host let someone in the back door. And I don't know if Cece wants to do a quick poem to send us home after last week's Bruce Springsteen-esque
Oh, wow.
concert of words and music. There was definitely a marathon, but no fat to it. So thanks so much for that. And if you want to do us a
Thank you.
closer.
Sure. I just found this thing online by Ursula Le Guin, and I'm going to read that, but there's a tough poem in here that I hardly ever read called Snapshot. And it's like a counterweight, maybe. Snapshot, the poet read, I simply have no idea. Nothing mattered more than simply being there. The written exposure cried, help, help, I do not need you. His prop, a clenched fist. His message, I do not care if you don't like what I read or spout. I only come here once a week to piss you people off. After Snapshot left the microphone, he went over to a friend and asked, hey buddy, hey pal, what did you think of that? The answer was, it seems no thinking matters anymore, except who's not throwing you out on your own art. And that was a tough one to write because Jack's philosophy of inclusivity never ostracized anyone, even if they were detrimental to others and feelings and hatred. So Ursula Le Guin wrote, Socrates said, the misuse of language induces evil in the soul, unquote. He wasn't talking about grammar. To misuse language is to use it the way politicians and advertisers do for profit without taking responsible for what words mean. Language used as a means to get power or to make money goes wrong. It lies. Language used as an end in itself, to sing a poem or tell a story, goes right, goes towards the truth. A writer is a person who cares what words mean, what they say, how they say it. Writers know words are their way towards truth and freedom, and so they use them with care, with thought, with fear and delight. By using words well, they strengthen their souls. Storytellers and poets spend their lives learning that skill and art of using words well. And their words make the souls of their readers stronger, brighter, and deeper. Dun, 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 dun. So I'll put in the chat tomorrow or Friday. Open Minds, Open Mic. Thanks to you guys and your invitation to hit the keys there and do my first more than 2 song show ever. I'm gonna probably do something similar at Open Minds, Open Mic, where they welcome all kinds of art there. Some of you've been there. If you've never been there, it's a long one. They have an open mic, a feature, and then the feature goes on for whatever, and then they finish the open mic, and then they shut off the thing and they do a whole nother round. There's been times where that happened over and over again, and it lasted till 2 a.m. But sometimes it's just 1 round or 2. But yeah, they're a young couple on the run. They try to live out of a bus. They're trying to get out of Canada, and they're trying to do what they can, and yada yada. So that's Thomas.
Someone's actually trying to leave Canada. Good God. Well,
it's not
things
that
are weird
easy.
all over.
It's not that easy when you get over to. Well, there's a story. He could. Yeah, it was something to do with the logistics of it all. I don't know the details, but you can't
Understood.
just. So.
Well,
And
thank you.
They're a couple, so they have to go together. So they're still. Anyway, whatever. That's the whole thing. So Friday, 7 o'clock, if you're free. Thank you,
CC, and thanks to everyone who came out tonight. Thanks to Elizabeth Doran. One more round of applause. I know that Zoom is not anyone's favorite, or not everyone's favorite. Some people do like it because, given their locations, it's their best bet for poetry. But it's not everyone's favorite. But I hope you still consider coming around seeing us. We're meeting every Wednesday for the time being, and maybe the schedule will change a bit once we find a live home. We'll let you know, but be here next week for Valerie Loveland and more announcements to come. I'm definitely getting some new voices coming in that we haven't seen before, or even perhaps haven't even heard of before.
Richard has something to say.
Oh, Richard, yes, go ahead.
Hey, no, you had to open the mic for us to thank the feature. Personally, I do want to thank you, Chad, for doing this on a consistent, regular basis. It's good of you to give your time and a platform for poets. And Elizabeth, really good to hear you tonight. Good to hear your work. I think that you definitely went way past, you had some concerns about Zoom, or you'd mentioned Zoom isn't really your favorite because of it can be kind of awkward. But that didn't really come across. Your work and your very good work came across tonight. So thank you, Elizabeth.
I was happy to catch it. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. In case she wants to say something. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, just thank you. Thank you.
And thank you all for listening, and thanks for coming to Stone Soup again. It's been a marathon of performances. We're going to do the obligatory wave, even though I don't think I can get my hand into view. Pretend I'm waving with the Golden Gate Bridge post. Here we go. You bastards. Anyway, next week, Valerie Loveland and more announcements to come. At least some guaranteed some poets you haven't heard of unless you're a regular on Poetry Twitter. Some people definitely out of state and out of the scene for a while coming back. I definitely want to feature at least a couple of them this summer. I'm going to be excited to do so. So more to come. And thank you guys very much and have a great evening. Thank you to Elizabeth Doran. We'll see you all next time. Check out the video when it comes up, hopefully tomorrow around 9 o'clock. Hopefully I got this Zoom thing figured out on the Chromebook. Until then, counting down till I can get my computer again and start recruiting people for the summer. And the show's over. See you next time. Take care.
Thanks very much. Just got home.
Good night.
Thanks for letting me in. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys.
Cheers.